Okay, guys, here we are, ready for the next one. And yeah, let's see what's happening. For our next Do It With Me, we have the November 2015 paper. And we're only going to do 6.1. There was a 6.2, but that's focusing on hyperbolas, and we don't need to go there right this second. So let's just have a look at what's going on here. We have a parabola that's f of x, and it's a sad face, and it's upside down. And yeah, there we go. And then we have another parabola, but they don't tell us what's going on there. We have but it's a happy face, so we know A will be positive. Points P and Q are the x-intercepts of F. Okay, great. Q and R are the x-intercepts of G. Boink, boink, and S is the turning point. T is the y-intercept of both F and G. Ooh, interesting. All right, so for 6.1.1, what the even? Like, where's my brain? Where is my mind? There's a song about that. Write down the coordinates of T. I think it was some emo song from my childhood. Anyway, coordinates of T. T is the y-intercept of my graph. Let's start with the shortcut. So you have two options here. You can either straight up say, hey, this guy is the y-intercept because it's at the back and there's no x with him. So you can right straight up just say, okay, 0 and 18. Or let's say you're stressed and you're a little bit, you don't think of it in the middle of exam. What's going to happen is you're going to say, oh, that's the y-intercept. So I take f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 18. I'm going to make x 0 because I want the y-intercept. Plus 18. And then 0 squared is 0 times negative 2 is 0, and then I just have y equals 18. And then you say, so the coordinates of t is 0 and 18. Then we move on. They say, just determine the coordinates of q. Q is an x-intercept. And again, we're going to work with this equation because that's the one where we have all the information. And if we want x-intercepts, we're going to make y 0. So we're going to say f of x, well, y equals negative 2x squared plus 18. Going to make y 0. I'm going to factorize. I'm taking out a negative 2. And that means I end up with x squared minus 9. And I end up with negative 2x plus 3, x minus 3. This one just, we're going to divide it away. Divide by negative 2 on this end, divide by negative 2 there. So that becomes 0. 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. This disappears. And I end up with x plus 3, x minus 3. And then we just say, okay, so x equals negative 3 or x equals positive 3. There was a different way to do this. There's an or. The other way you could have done this is you can say y is 0 equals negative 2x squared plus 18. Take the negative 2x squared over to the other side. And I divide by 2, x squared equals 9. We take the square root. But you have to remember that this needs to be a plus and a minus the square root of 9. And then you end up with x equals plus or minus 3. You can write it like this, or you can write x equals 3 or x equals negative 3. Okay, so those were your two methods to factorize here. But we want to answer the actual question, which is what determine the coordinates of Q? That would be our negative 3 over there. So this guy's got to be the positive one over there. So Q's coordinates are 3 and 0. Boosh. Awesome sauce. Given that x equals 4.5, so we have here 4 comma 5 and something, determine the coordinates of r. All right. Now I would like you to remember that the x value of the turning point is also the axis of symmetry, which means, what is an axis of symmetry? I don't think I spoke about it in the earlier videos. It's if you cut it like it was a cake, the two halves would be exactly the same. That means that this distance is equal to this distance, even though I didn't draw it properly. All right, so from here, we move from 3 to 4.5. So we've plussed 1.5. This means on this side, it's also 1.5, a distance of 1.5. And to go from 4.5 to 1.5, 4.5, 4 comma 5 plus 1.5 is equal to 6. So we know this coordinate here is 6 and 0. R's coordinates 6 and 0. All right, is that undoable? Do you guys have questions? You can throw them in the comments. Then they say determine the values of x for which g of x is positive. Now, this is a little bit of just a weird question. I'm going to do it the long way first, and then I'm going to do the short way so that you guys see what's going on. The long way would involve finding the equation of this, but which I think is great practice. So let's just do that, shall we? And the short way is just, you'll see. It's really short and it's about understanding the work. So let's go. We have two coordinates, two x coordinates. So we can just say g of x equals a x minus x1, x minus x2. And that gives us a is x minus 3, x minus 6. Remember, the signs change. And then I still have to find a, so I'm going to substitute in one more point, which is this guy. So we have y equals 18, and all my x's will be 0. Oh, oops. Ding, ding, ding. 0, 6. Okay, so this would be negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. So 18a. 18a equals 1. Push. Woo! So then I have g of x equals 1, which no mathematician would ever write because they're too lazy, famously lazy. This ends up being x squared minus 3x minus 9x plus 18, negative 3x. Okay, good, good. So here we have g of x. Okay, so then we're going to go and find the first derivative. So we can find the second derivative. This gives us 2x minus 9. And then our second derivative is 2. And then you're going to say, hey, determine the values of x for which the second derivative of g of x is bigger than 0. Well, 2 is always bigger than 0, so then our answer would be x is an element of R. Or, if you prefer the other way of writing it, you can say x is an element of negative infinity to positive infinity. Okay, so that's the long way to do it. The other way to do it is to remember when your second derivative is positive, your graph is concave up. And when your second derivative is negative, your graph is concave down. This thing is always concave up. So you didn't have to say any of this. You didn't have to do, oh, let's go big. You didn't have to do any of this business. You could just have said, hey, for 6.1.4, x is an element of R. Or, like I said, x is an element of negative infinity, positive infinity, because it's always a happy face. Boom! We did it! Man, I hope I pressed record. Okay. Write down the coordinates of t. Now, you can either 6.1.1. You can either go and take this one, f of x, and set it equal to 0. Blah. So we can say negative 2x squared plus 18 equals 0. I'm going to take the negative 1 over 18 equals 2x squared, divide by 2, divide by 2, and we have x squared equals 9, and then we're going to square root, remember, plus and minus, and then we end up with x equals negative 3 or x equals positive 3. But it's so much easier. All you have to do is just check it. So you can literally just look at that and say, what the fuck did I just do? Okay.